It's almost the end of the session, right? And I hope you've got a lot of good insights into what Dell is doing, how they're partnering, their acquisitions, you heard from them, all these things. I didn't want to dump you anymore with another session of Intel technology and product and stuff like that, right? It's you have your pre-sales guys who do that pretty much. I thought I'll take you through a story of how IT has enabled Intel. I mean, when we interact with CIOs, we tell them our story, right? And when we tell you the same story, you probably find a connect when you talk to these guys. You know what we are talking to the rest of the gang. So you can probably bridge that gap of understanding from the CIOs and the story that we can go through. But I'm actually torn apart because listening to all these wonderful conversations, panel discussions, and talking about business, I thought I should also touch on some of the other avenues that you have in making money, right? I think that's what we are all here for. How many of you know about vPro? vPro, right? Do you know you can make a lot of money on that? You didn't know? You don't know? You can't make money on that? You can definitely make money on that, the licensing part and implementation part. Most of the Latitude and Optiplex comes with management, right? You have your own Dell management suite that is there. And for the handshake, there is a vPro activated chip on the chipset, right, to talk. That's another additional revenue stream for you. Most of us don't go and touch that point because it's a little complex. It needs a deeper understanding. It needs a licensing model built into your business case. And that's your additional revenue on the pieces that you've already sold in terms of maintenance. And if you activate that, how do you save money is you don't have to go to your customer's place. You can sit in your office, have one engineer connected to the network of your customer and manage his infrastructure sitting in your place. So you save on his travel cost, you save on his time, you save on the visits that you need to make because you could do all those debug stuff. What are all these big guys doing? Infosys, Wipro, Cognizant. What are some of the biggest revenues coming from? Infrastructure management, right? You can do that here in India to your set of customers, sitting in your office, not traveling to the remote site. Having said that, I would recommend you to go look at enabling vPro. It's already there on the Latitude, so you just have to go and activate with a license. Explore that. Okay, that's one thing I wanted to touch on. Second is, when I go through our example of how we have used IT to improve our productivity within our organization, you would know how SSDs help in a big way, right? That's another one. On medium businesses and small business, how many of you have heard about Intel Small Business Advantage, SBA? Anybody? It's there on the Latitudes and Vostro products as of now. It started rolling out slowly. Now, that's another place where you can make your revenues. The small businesses, what is a small business pain point? He doesn't want to get bogged down by his IT issues. He's scared, he's typically scared of his data being lost or transferred by the users to a competitive to his competition, right? So there are small pain areas that a small business guy always thinking about. How does he manage his IT infrastructure? How does he protect his data and stuff like this? Now all this is available if you go to Intel.com and look for Small Business Advantage. It's a free set of suits, okay, to protect your data, to lock your USB, to give access to the clients within your small organization, 10, 15, 20, 30 people. And that's another service which you can take as a service from your side, because when you go to SBA and sign up, you can also create your own small web link which talks about you providing the service to the customer rather than it's coming from Intel. So you can customize the app with your logo, your company and stuff. And it's all available free. So while you do all this solutions and stuff, don't forget that bottom of the pyramid, right? There are small pain areas with SB and MB customers face. And with these suits like vPro and vPro may be more suitable for an MB or an enterprise customers, but SB and lower end of the SMB, you have a small business advantage. I recommend you to go through that, because that's an additional stream of revenue for you. So I've given you 2 additional sources of revenue, right? Hope you scale your business. All right. I'm not going to walk around because I need to refer to some data points here. I'm talking about consumerization of IT, and I hope you pretty much know what it is. You've also heard about the BYOD session yesterday from the end user client group from Dell, right? In 2010, the blurring of consumer devices and enterprise technologies, started happening. We saw people getting in iPhones and Android devices into the workplace. So why are they doing it? Any ideas why they're doing it? Why can't an employee just take an enterprise device and come to the workplace and not bring his Android device or his own smartphone? He loves his device, right? He wants to keep playing with his own toy, right? And how do you extract productivity out of him? Make the toy be acceptable into your network, right? And that is one of the biggest challenges that I think the enterprise is. I think Vijay also touched on that point on consumerization and the threats from security of bringing your own devices, right? So I want to draw your attention to this recent report from CNBC on the 10 most hated jobs. And that job was IT director, right? And you're doing business with the IT director. So it's not an easy task. But we at Intel don't think so. I think it's a most beautiful job to have, because that's what keeps us energized and trying to find ways and solutions to make his job better. And that's where the partner comes in, right? That's where we add value. And you guys add value onto showing him the path to ease his pain. The job is very intense, it's tough, it's complex. And the pace at which the business is moving and what the business expects out of an IT is just not going to come down. It's just going to get more and more complex. So if you have to read one of our chief administrative officer, and he was an executive vice president until recently, he's now become the chairman of the board, what he had to say was, if IT is mediocre, Intel is mediocre. If IT excels, Intel has a foundation for excellence. And with that came out our vision and mission on what IT should do to enable productivity at Intel for Intel employees. And we wanted to use that as a competitive advantage for Intel, right? So, a couple of things that I'll touch upon quickly, just that I've touched the agenda. Who we are and some background into the business and the organization the IT supports within Intel. I'm just going to touch upon the different metrics on the kind of complexity that we have in an organization for the kind of compute demand, the kind of device demand, the kind of enterprise compute time that they need, these organizations need, different teams need for their VLSI designing, for their inter-team collaborations and stuff. I'm going to talk about and some of the futures of client computing, because we think as an enterprise organization we take a lot of learnings that we have from our organization and share that with the industry, because we see similarity with the other industries also going through the same amount of pain in this IT infrastructure. As a corporate vision, we have this. We say we will create and extend computing technology to connect and enrich the lives of every person of Earth. And all our actions, all our R&D is focused on one thing. We need to enrich. And it has to help those people. Right? Look at some statistics. We have about 91,500 employees. We have about 142,000 devices. We have 69 data centers. You can see the split of compute, storage, and network there. And we have 764,000 service desk tickets just on the devices that we are managing, right? And there's a 25% participation in social media and 75% in viewership. That's the complex organization as it is for Intel. Some of the, when we talk this, we're looking at some of the business capabilities we are supporting with these devices, right? We enable a top 25 supply chain, which is one of Intel's mission critical role that IT plays in the supply chain for Intel, right? There are 2 data centers supporting the silicon design, and it sits in the top 500 supercomputing list, those 2 data centers of Intel's, right? I should also say there is, on the service desk, with all this complexity that we have 91% satisfaction on the complaints that we receive. And there is 97% PC support center satisfaction. All the devices, most of the devices which are within us is all vPro enabled, right? And we don't get any support by a physical person. It's all done remotely. And all this is enabled through the technologies that we have. We have more than 20,000 hours of video collaboration. There are 7,000 wireless access points at 150 sites across the globe, and there are about 75,000 servers within our organization. And look at the environment, how these people work, right? 60% of the people are mobile workforce. That means they don't have a place to go sit in an office, right? They probably work from home, they work on the road, they work on the flight. And a refresh cycle is less than 24 months. So, when I said that, each user has a different profile that we need to manage. Expectations are different. Somebody is in VLSI design, somebody is in help desk support, somebody is in marketing, the other guy is in a call center. So the user profiles are different. So the demands from these guys are different. The kind of infrastructure that they need is different. So having said that, some of the forces that shape our client computing, if you look at the way the consumer and enterprise devices that shaping market, earlier about, I think, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was more of enterprise or the business guys that kind of influence the consumer's mindset in terms of what PC they would buy. They would come to office, they would see a device and say, oh, this is a very good thing, let me go buy one from home. But today, oh, this is a cool stuff, can I take this to office? I go to the IT desk and say, I've got this device, I can do my job on this device. You IT manager, can you help me with enabling our applications on this device? So there's more of consumer influence today into the enterprise. And enterprise has to keep pace with it, and it is fast changing, right? They are not ready today to, enable a consumer device into the enterprise. They're exploring. Some organizations have done, some organizations are doing a pilot, but it's not easy. But the fact is, the consumer devices are influencing the way the enterprise needs to address. And why is that need? The need is for the productivity of the employee. It could be from home, it could be from on his smartphone devices while he's traveling, but the productivity has always to be maintained, right? So the key challenge there is, how do we enable this guy to bring in his device and at the same time maintain the productivity, right? In terms of the social, we encourage a lot of social media participation within our organization as well. There are over 500 million active Facebook users, right, in the market. There are about 30 million consumer reviews of hotels on TripAdvisors. There are more content has been uploaded into YouTube than it has been created by major broadcasters in the last 60 years, right? So what is the implication for IT? That pace of technology, the pace and availability of these services for the users, be he is within the organization or at home, is that the ability of these services, the pace of the content in the public market, which is moving faster, and for people like us at IT and Intel, who are used to consuming this, want the same pace inside business as well. Can we keep up with that pace? That's a journey that we started. Let me make the story short on showing you some quick facts. In 2000, we moved to mobility, and mobile business PC became a standard. And the implication was we got 67% reduction in TCO because of user productivity and security advantages that we implemented at IT, right? Social computing, both internal and external. 23% of employees use internal social media. That is for supporting, for business, for networking, for exec communications, for corporate communications. All this is done through our internal social media. In 2008, we started video collaborations. And we saved about 57,000 hours of travel in 2010, which is a saving of $26 million. Which is a saving, a budget cut of 27% over 2009. And that's the role IT is playing. In 2009, we established client virtualization and service delivery, which was more than 3 months, is now 3 hours. And the goal is to take it to a minute. In 2010, we accepted BYOD, and we had 94% increase in handles, that is smartphones. More than 50% of these people use their smartphones to access applications internally. We have 650,000 messages per quarter. That is an additional 51-minute productivity per employee. And there's very few unauthorized ones. Everything is authorized ones. We are now shifting to a endpoint security model, which is in a 5-year development, redesign and investment cycle. So while we are doing all this, there were some misinterpretations that we had. When email first came in 1994, we said email has no place at work. You know what happened? Does it have a place at work? I think that's the only place that people used to work, right? Internet access, we said that had no place at work in 1996. In 1998, we said e-commerce is too high a risk for our company. We have embraced that. 2002, instant messaging has no place at work. It's a waste of time. It's productivity loss. We have embraced that within the organization. So what they practice outside, they try and replicate within the organization. It's to ease their means of communication, thereby increase their productivity. In 2005, we said social software has no place at work. We have embraced it fully, both externally and internally. We even use Facebook interactions within the organization. We use all other means available. So what were the fear in that time was 64% of the people agreed that social networking tools were extremely risky when it came to security. And 54% agreed that mobile platforms were extremely risky. And these are not just our study, it's CIO Insights from in November 10, right? With a survey done with over 550 senior IT executives. By the numbers, Intel outside, right? And when I say outside, these are the conferences that we hold to connect with customers outside, right? And these are enabled through the IT infrastructure that we have within Intel. There are 320 video conferences per day that we do, supported on Intel IT. We have 140 video rooms. We have about 2.64 million phone bridges per day. And that's the amount of collaboration or talking that people are doing within the organization. There are 1.3 million individual IMs, 7.46 million emails via PCs, and 42K via smartphones or Blackberries. There are 11,000 meeting schedules per day in 5,000 rooms, which is all automated through our IT system. So you book your conference room through the system. There are 21,000 employees who contribute to social media and 38,000 who view through our IT network. So unlike some organization, we at Intel, we can access any sites outside the organization. There is no restriction absolutely per se. It's all managed, very secure, and it is authorized. Except obviously you know which sites, right, which we like to open up when we rest for the day. There are about 27.5K searches executed per day within the organization. There are 120,000 PC assets, out of which 100,000 are laptops and 20,000 desktops. We have about 600 Ultrabook devices until end of last year, and right now I think it should have grown to about 3,500 or 4,000 Ultrabook devices. You would be surprised, we have almost about 1,175 Macs inside Intel. So we've embraced, so people who want to work on a Mac, we embrace that within the organization. We do about 25,000 PC refreshes. We did about 25,000 PC refreshes in 2012. And there were 10,000 new hires, that was for 10,000 new hires and 4K sustaining employees. Average year of the PC has gone down from 3 to 4 years to now about 18 months to 24 months. The maximum age of a PC that was 3 years for design, 4 years for office, and 5 years for our case workers or interns. We have about 3,000 tablets and 36,000 smartphones as part of our BYOD initiative. That's the kind of landscape. Why I'm saying all this is what, when a company like Intel embraces, you would find the other organizations also moving quickly in this direction. So are we ready to address those needs? With the ample software solutions that you have, with the BYOD initiative that Dell has brought in, and with the different alliances and new acquisitions which Dell has brought, I think you are now geared up to address these needs of the CIO. It takes a little effort to train ourselves. It takes a little effort to train your people to understand the complexity. But then we have a partner like Dell who makes it simple for us all. The tension remains. There's a lot of Cold War between users and IT department, right? And that has been, and it always will exist. And it gets more complex when the user are given more rights, they're given more less IT support, and they're given more and more mobile environment. There is a mixed data model today, both in the personal and corporate world, and we are using the same device to access all this. Users want more say in what devices they need. Earlier it was the company which said, okay, this is your device, please use this. Today they want to say, this is my device, please enable this. Right? They have been at loggerheads. But then we need to go and address both the IT guys and the end users' needs. Are we ready? Can we use the tools that are existing today to go enable this? When we go and talk to your IT managers in your customer's place or the CIOs, can we engage them and involve them in a meaningful conversation on embracing BYOD, embracing cloud computing? And if we can do that, and if we can do that well with solutions from Dell, I think there is a strong business case for us. The rest of the thing is pitching on why we need to embrace this. I think there's no need for me to go through all that. I've made my story on what is the story today, how we at Intel are adapted to the mixed environment of IT, and how our IT is enabling this, and how we are taking these learnings and helping the outside world. I want to skip to the last slide and talk about what are the tools that are available for us. This is the end state that we need to kind of have within our IT organization. It looks something like this. It's going to be a converged cloud. Today it's all private, but we want to move to a hybrid cloud, which is private and public, right? We call it the device independent computing, and there is also some papers written on this. And we want to use and leverage large data center infrastructure that's already available within the organization and outside the organization, plus traditional environment. So it's going to be a mixed environment. And how do we safely and securely coexist both in this IT data and the consumer environment, personal data, and across the range of devices? In summary, we are embracing consumerization, and you folks, when you talk within your organization and to your customers, I think that's the message we need to carry. We need to embrace consumerization and create a business value. The focus should be on business, not on the IT. So IT needs to enable those business. Some parameters for that success is to understand and innovate the business model to be business use models. We need to be prepared for change constantly. We need to develop and maintain platform standardization policies with an eye towards future flexibility and total cost optimization. We have stayed in this business. We are continuing in this business. You might not have seen some devices in the near past where this consumerization affected, like the tablets and smartphone devices. We'll be there. We're already there. We're going to expand in that. And later part of this year and next year, you can see a lot of stuff coming out from Intel and from Dell. Finally, I want you to go take a look at some of those white papers that we have created on the usage modules. You can go register and download this and share with your customers. That probably would give insights into your customers' IT requirement and some of the BKMs that they can use from what Intel has done to our IT infrastructure. With that note, I would like to end and thank you for your time. Thank you for your business. Thank you for partnering with Intel and Dell.